a good time. It's a wonderful day here at Christian's Corner. Gentlemen, relaxing.
So it is.
Pro-relationships. Professional relationships. That's what we're talking about today. Starting with, anybody know the 10 Commandments?
I know about like 3. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not lie. I forgot the third one again.
Anybody know any more of the 10 Commandments? The 10 Commandments is in Exodus 20. I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce y'all. That's Kelly right there. That girl right there. Next to her is Tasia. We got Mordecai right here.
Hey guys.
You already know my wife. Our cameraman, big shout out Keyshawn. We gotta get him in the video.
Is it?
Make a cameo.
They can see the. I don't know if it's able to know.
Well,
they can't.
So you just introduced them because I had moved it. Start over.
Thank you. No, we're not starting over. Let's just keep it real.
Tell you how to feel.
Yeah, it's real.
Okay.
Pro-relationships. Professional relationships.
Hold on, you might want to show them. And then say your name again. You are the cameraman, right?
Yeah, I'm the cameraman.
Leave it alone. You being rude.
All right, everybody say your names.
Hi, my name is Mordecai, and
Tasia.
Look at the camera so we can see what Tasia looks like. Everybody
I'm
has seen Tasia before.
I'm Mordecai, and
I would like to know what a Tasia looked like if I heard of one.
Hi, my name is
Tasia.
Hi, my name is Tasia. I said Tasia. Hi, my name is Mordecai, and my name is from the Book of Esther.
Yes.
What's Tasia?
Kelly.
Let's go.
Kelly Belly Welly.
Yes, you're right, Mordecai. And I think you gave a couple of them too. One of them that sticks out is thou shalt not lie. In the King James Version, it says thou shalt not bear false witness. Pro-relationships. We're not going to do all the 10 Commandments. Just to work on that one. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not lie. That's what a lie is. It's a false witness. Saying something that's false or something that's not true. But in fact, the opposite. A pro-relationship, a professional relationship, something that somebody would naturally assume to be something that's on a business level, but a professional relationship should be any relationship. Every relationship that you have should be professional. You should strive towards having a relationship that is beyond mediocre with anything and everybody. That doesn't mean you have to have a close relationship, but that's where professional comes in at, because it takes practice to cultivate a healthy relationship properly, which is why we say professional. It's a pro relationship. You get good at it, and it deals with the key essential. That commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not lie, starting with to yourself. Dealing with that, I got my notes here. Dealing with that, being honest and not lying, being honest with yourself means dealing with anything that you are insecure about, emotionally unstable. When we have a complication with ourselves and we have goals and things like that, even since the moment that we are born, we automatically begin to learn according to what we take in, what we see around us. And in the process of doing so, we start developing goals. If it's not subconsciously, eventually it becomes consciously. One or the other. Sometimes starting with both. But eventually we become conscious of the things that we want. You know, as a baby, we start off wanting things and crying for because we can't communicate. But when you get old and you start going through these complications, not saying that y'all is older or anything like that, but older than babies and old enough to understand that you have goals, you have strengths, you got weaknesses, you have things that you want that's affected by the things that you know about, the things that you've seen, the things that you've heard. in so doing, and the things that you want, you notice that there's obstacles. I don't believe that anybody just has an easy life where they just get everything that they want and everything goes right according to plan A. You never have to plan B for anything. Life is just not like that. It's not like that. In the midst of dealing with difficulties, of course, there's going to be frustrations. And for the most part, when we go through frustrations, a lot of times we can internalize that and start wishing that we were something that we were never meant to be. Life requires us to be patient with ourselves in dealing with the things that we are insecure about, the things that we want, our strengths and weaknesses. We have to be honest, with ourselves about what our strengths and our weaknesses are, acknowledging the fact that we have strengths and weaknesses. At least with ourselves, even according to the things that we want and how bad we want them. As much as people tell us, if you put your mind towards something, it's gonna happen, like it's a guarantee, and that's all you have to do. Sometimes people work their whole life to become a millionaire, and they never see that. They work harder than people that didn't. But to compare yourself to another person effectively, you have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. How much can you know the strengths and the weaknesses of another person? You barely know the strengths and weaknesses of yourself. Be honest with yourself about it. Be patient with yourself about it. Because in so doing, we know that there's going to be people in the world that, for example, don't have the mental capacity of another. But when it comes down to us setting our goals, we have to be honest, we have to be loyal. Use your strengths and weaknesses to set fair goals for yourselves. And hold to those goals, knowing that you set it with a clear mind and you consider all of your strengths and weaknesses and your wants and your desires, even compared to other people. And that the thing that you want is possible and achievable. And stay loyal to it. What you think?
Loyalty. Knowing your boundaries, knowing what you accept, knowing what you don't accept, and being faithful to it and truthful to yourself and to what you believe in. So, loyalty is that, like I said, acknowledging who you are, and no matter what nobody say, no matter what nobody think, what you believe and what you feel is, and what you accept is something that you're going to stay loyal to. So, for example, if someone say, okay, you run a couple of pounds, kind of big, but you're comfortable with the way you are, you're not going to let somebody dictate the way you feel about yourself anymore, because you're loyal to how you feel. You're faithful to what you believe. You're faithful to yourself. You accepted yourself. So with loyalty, no one can deteriorate you from what you believe in. And so, with loyalty, I would say that it comes truth, being truthful to yourself, being truthful to yourself, accepting your flaws, knowing your flaws, and determining if you want to fix your flaws because of what you feel, not what someone tell you. You understand? So, like, for example, a lot of times, like, people think of loyalty as a relationship, and like, when you're in a relationship, a lot of people mention loyalty, like, okay, so I'm with this person, so I gotta be loyal to them. You cannot be loyal to someone else unless you're loyal to yourself first. So, you do it. So, that's the first thing, is to acknowledge that, and what I just said, to acknowledge self-love. That's where self-love comes in. You have to love yourself, not above God, but you got to accept the fact that God created you in His image, and therefore He didn't create you to be identical as Him, but in His image. So you're not God, but you're in the image. You're going to become in the image of Him, likewise Him.
Wisdom.
So, therefore, because of that, if you love God, how can you hate yourself? We know we're not God, therefore, we're not perfect. God is perfect. We're not perfect. So, therefore, we're not perfect. That means we have flaws. So, in self-love and loyalty, in those situations, you acknowledge those flaws, and with the things that you feel like you can fix, you work to fix it. And the things that you can't, you learn to accept it in a way where no one can make you feel insecure about it because you've tried and you couldn't fix it. You gotta get what I'm saying. So, to me, like I said, with loyalty, it comes trust and faithfulness. It comes truth and faithfulness. Because in order to be loyal, you should be truthful to yourself, and you should be faithful to what you believe in yourself before you do it outside of yourself, meaning towards somebody else. You should have self-love, respect yourself. Don't just accept something because someone said this is what you're worth. Know your self-worth.
Yeah.
Know that, excuse me, like for example, if you're in school and some guy break your heart and you felt you didn't deserve that, don't feel like you have to settle because that guy was nice to you. Know your worth more than that, to know that you don't have to accept that because someone did something nice for you. So just because, for example, just because people are nice to you or do good things for you, don't mean you owe them anything.
That's right.
You don't owe nobody nothing.
Yeah.
If people do something for you, they did it from the kindness of their heart. That don't mean that you owe them anything.
It's like
So, yeah. So when you love yourself, you acknowledge that, okay, someone loved me enough to do that for me. That don't mean I owe them. And that don't mean that, basically I owe them, that I have to do anything for them. But you accept that knowing that you deserved it. Because they seen something in you or seen you worked it to do that for you. So I feel like I'm topping and so like going everywhere. But basically, in loyalty, you should be loyal to yourself. You should have self-love. You should know your worth, your value, what you're going to settle for and what you're not. And in being loyal with the self-love, it means that you're not going to do nothing the opposite of that. So if you have self-love and you love yourself, that means you're not going to accept abuse. You're not going to accept someone dictating your life. You're not going to accept bondage. You're not going to accept disrespect. You're not going to accept, what you said, bribery.
Yeah.
And you're not going to settle.
Somebody beat you and reel you in.
You're not going to settle. So you just need to acknowledge who you are. You need to be loyal to yourself. You need to know your boundaries, and you need to be truthful first to yourself and faithful to yourself, which to me is all one. And that's what I see loyalty as. It don't cover loyalty to me. Like, I'm loyal to me because I love me and I want to be faithful to the things I believe in. I'm going to be truthful to myself. When I mess up, I'm going to acknowledge that I messed up and I'm going to try to get right, and I'm going to do my best and get right. And I'm going to know that I'm not going to always meet the mark, but I know what I'm capable of, and I know how far I can reach, how far it's going to take me to reach my goal, how long it's going to take me to reach my goal, or how far I'm going to go to get where I'm trying to go. And I'm not going to let nobody deteriorate me, redirect me from that path I'm taking. So, yeah.
Loyalty. That is, I believe that's self-mastery. I think that's the essence when you know you're ready to begin. That's definitely when you have mastered at least the art of loving yourself. When you can enforce discipline on yourself and you can be loyal to it. Now you can begin to be an effective help in a relationship to someone else. to contribute to them, because now you have self-strength and you are able to help a person that hasn't reached that point yet, because you made it there. You have the mastery. But even getting somebody else to that next level requires work with yourself. I mean, we're living in a household here where we got kids. We have this is our job, you know, and of course we do it pridefully. It's not something that we take for granted. But yeah, self-discipline and accountability of yourself, holding your own self accountable for the things that you do wrong, like you might do wrong to somebody else. You have to own up to it, accept responsibility for the damages that you've done, and try to fix it. It's like you spill something. I mean, apologizing if you're really sorry that you did it. What you gonna do? You gonna clean it up. What were you getting ready to say, Mordecai? I thought you were. But yeah, it goes into loving others is something that you can't achieve very much of until you can effectively love yourself. Loving yourself requires discipline, everything that you expect, and knowing how to be patient with yourself. Because not everybody is on the same level. We're not all equal, no. And sometimes the things that you dream might not be realistic, no matter how hard you set your mind to it. And you can be anything that you can believe in. Sometimes you have to accept that this is not going to go this way just because, I really want it to go this way. It just doesn't work, but you got to know. And it takes knowledge, it takes experience sometimes. Sometimes we have to learn the hard way. But when we're dealing with different people and we're trying to get people to another level, that's one thing. Meeting someone that is on your level can help. You know, that's mainly what a marriage is about. You don't go into a marriage expecting somebody to be your parent or expecting to grow somebody to be where you are, thinking that a marriage is one person on one level and one person is on another. But you got to love people. You got to love yourself. And the Bible even says, what is it that we have to do? We got to treat others the way we want to be treated. Is how we heard it. But whatsoever you would have others to do unto you, do so also unto them. It's an attitude that you have to have about the things that you're going to do once you know yourself and you can be honest with yourself, with your strengths and with your weaknesses, and knowing that everybody else, you can't expect them to be necessarily on the same level that you are, and not even to have the capacity that you have to get where you are. Because there are, I mean, how much have we seen in this life, people that are handicapped and they just don't have the mental capacity that everyone else has. And then you got geniuses. Is this something that we just willed to happen? We willed ourselves to be a genius? If so, then why are we just willingly taking care of these people that we consider to be of a mental handicap? Because according to that theory, it's their fault that they're like that. But there's all different types of people in between. And they all have their strengths and their weaknesses. So if they can't do what we do and we can't do what they do, yeah, we're not equal in that way, but we're all still human. And God looks at us the same way. He gave us all the same capacity. We can't go beyond our human capacity, but there are limitations that some people have that others don't. Some people they come into this world on one level and they stop growing when they get to a certain level. Some people can reach that level quicker than others. There's all different types of possibilities. The range varies. So we have to be patient with other people as well and not blame everybody for everything that they do wrong. Sometimes it's just not within their ability. I mean, there's murderers out there, people that's doing some pretty awful things. And naturally, our instinct is hate. But God loves them. I mean, we look at Paul, he was driven by his rage against the Christians because he believed in God, but he didn't know Christ. He went around killing Christians. This guy is a pillar in our faith. There's different people that's doing worse off, that's not going to reach that level that he came to, just because that's not what God designed them to be. But if we can know ourselves enough to care about our strengths and our weaknesses and who God designed us to be, then we can effectively, confidently be who God wants us to be. No matter what everybody else sees about us. We come in contact with other people, and we can find somebody that's on their level that can see things in that way, at least to be on the same level that they are. That's grounds for a good friendship right there. But realistically, it's kind of hard to find somebody that's exactly our level. So you're going to find somebody that's kind of close to your level. And in the process of doing that, eventually, hopefully, you find God, because that's what knowing yourself is all about. We can know ourselves no more than God teaches us. So knowing to accept Him, how can we love anybody in this life if we can't love God? How can we love God if we can't love anybody in this life? It's what the scripture says. He says, how can you love your brother whom you have not seen, whom you have seen, if you can't love God? How can you love God whom you have not seen if you can't love your brother whom you have seen, who is here with us? And we can share the exact same feelings that they have, them being human like us. We're able to have compassion with each other, to be able to provide for each other in their times of need, when we have it there with us as our strength. Then, when you're able to do things like that, you're able to receive God better. You're able to know a little bit about, to understand and to have compassion about the sacrifice that Christ made on the cross, and even before the miracles that He worked. And all those things, being able to live a life that is dedicated to Him, to worship Him, because the Father seeks such to worship Him in spirit and in truth. To be obedient unto God, because one thing 1 John 3:22 says is, whatsoever we ask, we receive of Him, because we keep His commandments and do those things that are pleasing in His sight. To be able to keep God's commandments and do the things that are pleasing in His sight is remarkable. It's incredible. It takes a lot of discipline to be able to do that. When we can find it in ourselves to look beyond ourselves, know what our strengths and our weaknesses are, to look at other people and not necessarily judge them according to their weaknesses, to look at their strengths too and help them if you can in their weaknesses, or at least have compassion on them and not feel as though they're less of a person and undeserving because they don't see things the way that you do, or not able to perform at the way that you do. Have compassion on people. God sees all that. And if we truly care about what He's done for us and His ability to love us, then we'll love other people, and we'll begin to be obedient. In our relationships, it doesn't just require an obedience to God. It requires an obedience to ourselves, and sometimes to other people and their expectations of us. Sometimes, but usually our obedience is set because of the law of God. And it starts with ourselves, that we set for other people for us because of the things that we do. We cause them to have expectations of us. We got to be careful about how we do that. Any thoughts? Yeah, it's a clear message about knowing how to love yourself first and foremost. To go over that and just to dig deeper next time when we talk about how we can put whatever y'all learn, you're able to apply it in your everyday life, or even in your way of thinking. Hopefully the youngest to the oldest are able to benefit from something that was just said and that we just talked about, so that the next time we talk, we can go into it a little bit more about dealing with other people, more so than just dealing with ourselves. And eventually, loving God the way that we should. It's so easy for us to try to please people because of the pressures that are put on us from ourselves and from other people. And it's hard to see God in the midst of all that because of the way that He chooses to present Himself, unless He reveals Himself to us in a specific way that calls us as and having a duty, and we're all being called. And some people are on higher levels than others. And sometimes it's more apparent than others. Some people are more willing than others. But we'll be able to get into that. It starts with this. Hope we all enjoy that. Y'all got something out of that.
Anybody learn anything today? Anybody think of anything today? Learn anything?
That we should love ourselves, and basically, we should love ourselves, and like if nobody, basically, love ourselves and don't lie.
Because what's the hell already?
Because basically, like you said, how can you love Jesus if you like God if you can't love your own brother or sister? Because I got sisters.
Yes, you do. But you got brothers too. Even though I'm your dad, I'm still your brother.
Yeah, everybody over here is my brother.
Whether you see it like that or not.
Y'all guys over there, y'all are my brothers and sisters, okay? Hope you understand that.
Yeah. And we got to be responsible for our brothers and sisters. We got to take care of others and ourselves. We got to look out for each other as brothers and sisters. Not just fathers and mothers and wives and husbands and friends. But, yeah, we need to look after each other like we're our brother's keepers.
I love my whole family.
Yeah.
Family of over a billion. A family of over a billion.
Yeah, yeah. That's one way to put it. Like, I mean, learning things like this the way that I've learned it personally is something I'm glad to be able to share with y'all. You know, I'm able to share it with y'all on a personal level. I've been able to share it with Kelly the longest, apparently. I mean, obviously, and evidently. But, you know, you guys are learning too. You know, I'm glad that I'm able to share it with you the way that I am. You know, with everybody, you know, just hoping that it can be received, but being able to share it is good enough for me because I believe that it's for a reason. You know, and there's more to it than that. And I'm glad of that too. Because I had confidence in you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah. I think, so if y'all want to end this with a prayer, this will be our closing prayer for the night. What you think? Yeah? Alright, let's do this, y'all. Y'all want to hold y'all position? What y'all want to do? Y'all want to sit there? We good? Just want to hands across the room.
How are we gonna do that if he's over there?
His hand can reach Kelly's hand right there. Yeah, we just form a line. It's not gonna be a circle. We can form a line. If that's just fine. Alright. In Jesus' name, Father, Holy Spirit, I do thank you, dear Lord, first and foremost, for being our God, our Lord and our Savior, for guiding us, dear Lord, even into this point in our lives, this point in this message. We ask you to take control of each part of our lives, even the prayer that we pray at this time, for all that be in attendance, dear Lord, that it reach good ground, that it grows and brings forth fruit unto everlasting life. We ask for you to look out for everyone that is gathered to be able to hear this prayer, dear Lord, to look after them in a way that they cannot look after themselves, to enrich their minds, their bodies, and their souls, to go beyond what they think is even possible, dear Lord, but that you will reach into their lives and show them exactly what you have planned for them, even if the thoughts that they have go beyond the realism or the scope of your prospects, dear God, what you desire for them, dear Lord, to keep them in line, to know that whatsoever that you're going to do is what's going to grant them the ultimate happiness. Forgive them for all manner of sins and unrighteousness, dear God. Present them before yourself blamelessly. Cause them to be able to see the light that is in you and let them be a light to others as well. We give you all the praise. We love you. We bless you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thanks, y'all.